Okay, so the next thing I'm discussing is actually hedging, which we did discuss in class, and then we said that we have two types. It could be like short position, which is selling futures contract, or long position, which is buying futures contract. And then this is an example in which we assume, suppose that now is Jan, and then this is the time period, which is June, and suppose that here you're afraid, like now in Jan, you're afraid that interest rate might increase or the price of your holdings of bonds would fall. And then suppose that in June you actually need cash. Okay, so suppose that you need cash, so the plan is to sell bonds at, suppose the investor wants 5 million. So the investor wants to have cash in June worth of 5 million. But the problem is the prices might fall. So what the investor can do is to decide now, like let's assume that we're starting with the first example, which is short. So the investor can think of selling now, selling futures contract now for uh, for 98,500, selling, and then buy it in June. Okay, so this is called a short position. So the idea is to sell 50 treasury bonds with a par value of 5 million, which is the amount of money that the investor wants. In other words, you have $100 per contract. Okay, and then the investor is going to sell it for, as I said, 98,500. The idea is if the actual price decreased as expected to 94,500, so it falls by 4,000. In other words, interest increased. Okay, then this investor can close out this position, right? The investor can close out this position by actually buying contracts identical to the ones that he has sold. So to close out this position, he's going to come here, and then when the price actually falls, then he can buy. So you can do selling here, buying here, then you're offsetting the position. So let me write it here. So to close out the position, what the investor can do is basically buy contracts identical to those he or she has sold in Jan and you're buying in June. Okay, so in other words, in Jan this was a short hedging, so there was a selling action and the selling price was 98,500, but then in June the investor decided to buy because the price is low at 94,500, and this means that this investor is making 4,000 gain per contract. And if the investor has 50 contracts, then the investor is making actually 200,000 gain. Of course, this gain helps to offset the reduced market value of bond holding, right? Because the investor had already bond holding that, let me go back here. So assume that this investor had already bond holding that actually was planning to sell it, right? Because this investor need cash in June. So in order to reduce the possibility of losses because of the fall in price, then the investor did an offsetting action by actually selling when the price is low and buying when the price is selling when the price is high and then buying when the price is low. So he was able, or she was able, to make 200,000 gain. Of course, you might have different scenarios. Okay, let me put you a different scenario here. So suppose that the interest rate actually fell and the price has increased. So let me go back here. So this was 98 and it fell to 98,500, and then it fell to 94,500. What if here in June the prices has increased? Then of course you're selling at, for example, 98,500 and you're buying for 99, so you're buying for more. So if the prices has increased, then this investor would have a loss in future position, right? But will be offset by a gain in the market value of the bond holding. Remember, this investor already has bonds, right? And suppose that the prices has increased here in June, then his bond holding has increased in value. So this is one part which is the good news, right? The bond value that he already holds or she already holds has increased in value. But he will have losses on the contract that he has bought in, sorry, that he has sold in Jan, because if the price has increased, then he would have losses. So this would be a loss in the futures position, right? But this loss will be offset by the increase in market value of the bond holding, because the price has increased. So you would have like more value in whatever you hold in bonds. Okay, I'll stop here. I'll record another one.